Most people wish. They wish for success. They wish for freedom. They wish for meaning. But wishes do not move mountains. Decisions do. The world is built, not by the ones who wish, but by the ones who decide. By the ones who wake up one day and say, enough. Enough waiting. Enough hoping. Enough standing in the shadows of their own potential. Every man and woman who ever bent the world to their will began the same way, not with luck, not with money, not with genius, but with a decision. A quiet, unshakable decision that said, I will no longer accept mediocrity as my destiny. Think about it. Every skyscraper, every invention, every revolution that reshaped history began in a single mind that refused to stay ordinary. Edison, sitting in a dim room surrounded by failure after failure, made a decision that he would find a way to make light, even if he failed 10,000 times. Ford, mocked by engineers and bankers, made a decision that every man, not just the wealthy, would own an automobile. Carnegie, a poor immigrant boy, made a decision that he would not remain in the factory forever. That he would rise above circumstance and command his own destiny. They decided, and because they decided, the world changed. But most people don't decide. They hesitate. They overthink. They wait for the right time, the right feeling, the right sign. They confuse motion with progress. They talk, plan, dream, scroll, compare, and yet, years pass. And still, they are standing in the same place, whispering the same excuses. The few who decide, however, move. They move even when it's unclear. They move even when it's dark. They move even when they don't feel ready. Because they know that clarity doesn't come before action, it comes because of it. This is the first great truth of achievement. You will never feel ready. The conditions will never be perfect. The fear will never fully vanish. And the gap between where you are and where you want to be will never close, until you step into it. It is not luck that separates the great from the forgotten. It is not intelligence, not talent, not privilege. It is the decision to act with relentless faith, to say, I will create the life I envision, no matter the cost. And that begins not with opportunity, but with mindset. The mind is the birthplace of every triumph and every tragedy. Within it lies both your greatest prison and your ultimate liberation. The average mind drifts like a leaf in the wind, blown by fear, distraction, and doubt. The disciplined mind, however, is like a steel blade, sharp, deliberate, and focused. Napoleon Hill once wrote that, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Yet most people only half understand that sentence. They conceive, they dream, they wish, they imagine, but they do not believe. And without belief, a dream is a ghost that never materializes. Belief is not pretending. Belief is conviction in the unseen. When you decide, you shift the axis of your entire existence. It's not something that happens outside of you, it happens within. It's the quiet revolution of the soul, the inner declaration that says, I am no longer available for mediocrity. I am no longer loyal to my old limitations. I am no longer a spectator in my own life. And when that moment arrives, the air changes. The noise of the world begins to fade, and a stillness takes over. The stillness of someone who finally knows who they are, what they want, and what they are willing to give for it. Because make no mistake, life demands payment for greatness. It demands your time, your focus, your patience, your comfort. It will strip you of everything that isn't aligned with your purpose. It will test your loyalty to your vision. But the ones who endure, the ones who stay true, they rise into a realm where few ever go. They become architects of reality. They understand that success is not about accumulation. It's about alignment. To decide is to align your actions with your highest intention. It is to live from the inside out, not the outside in. It is to no longer be swayed by the opinions of the masses, the trends of the moment, or the doubts of the small-minded. You begin to see life not as a series of random events, but as a mirror reflecting the state of your own mind. When you think higher, you attract higher. When you act with conviction, life bends in your favor. Every decision, every action, every thought begins to carry weight. You stop playing for applause and start playing for impact. You stop chasing success and start embodying it. And when that happens, When success becomes who you are rather than what you pursue, the world opens. Look back through time, you'll find the same pattern repeating in every generation. Every revolution, every innovation, every leap in human progress was sparked by one individual who decided to think differently. Edison decided to bring light to the darkness. Lincoln decided that freedom was worth civil war. Rosa Parks decided she would no longer stand for injustice. Martin Luther King decided that his dream was worth his life. Jobs decided that art and technology could coexist. Musk decided to reach for the stars, literally. Each of them was told, it can't be done. Each of them faced ridicule, failure, isolation. But they were deaf to doubt. Because when you decide, the voice of doubt becomes background noise. They didn't wait for permission, they acted. They didn't ask if they were ready. They became ready through action. They didn't wonder if the world would support them. They built worlds where support didn't matter. That's what separates the extraordinary from the average, not luck, not talent. Decision. The decision to keep moving when others freeze. The decision to stand tall when fear screams retreat. The decision to believe when reason says surrender. That is the moment when the wishers fade into history and they wish for success. They wish for freedom. They wish for meaning. But wishes do not move mountains. Decisions do. Pause. Music swells, heartbeat rhythm begins. The world is not built by those who wish. It is built by those who decide. By the ones who wake up one day and whisper to their own reflection, enough. Enough waiting. Enough hoping. Enough living beneath their potential. Every revolution that shaped this world began the same way, with a decision. Edison decided that darkness was optional. Ford decided that motion belonged to everyone, not just the wealthy. Carnegie decided that poverty would not define him. Disney decided that imagination could build entire worlds. They didn't wait for luck. They didn't ask for permission. They decided, and the world shifted beneath their feet. Beat, silence, then rising tone. But most people, they never decide. They hesitate. They overthink. They wait for someday. They call it planning. They call it being realistic. But the truth? It's fear, wearing the mask of reason. And fear kills more dreams than failure ever could. Shift tone, firmer. The few who decide, however, they move. Even in darkness. Even in doubt. Even when the path is unclear. Because they understand something the world forgets. You do not get clarity before you move. You get clarity because you move. Powerful pause. You will never feel ready. You will never have perfect timing. The fear will never vanish. And yet, the moment you step, the path begins to reveal itself. That's the secret. That's the law. That's life. Music slows, introspective tone. Your mind is the birthplace of every triumph, and every tragedy. Within it lies both your prison and your power. The average mind drifts, blown by distraction, comparison, doubt. But the disciplined mind? It is a blade, sharp, focused, relentless. Napoleon Hill once said, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief, that's where most fail. They conceive, they imagine, they dream, but they never believe. And without belief, a dream is a ghost that never touches reality. Beat, calm intensity. Belief is not pretending. Belief is conviction in the unseen. It is the quiet knowing that your vision is real, before the world sees it. Edison believed in the light before he ever saw it. The Wright brothers believed in flight before they felt it. Disney believed in magic before the world could imagine it. Belief transforms the invisible into the inevitable. Your thoughts are blueprints. Your faith is the foundation. And your vision is the architect. Music lifts, hopeful. Vision is not fantasy. Vision is clarity with courage. It's seeing what could be, when the world only sees what is. Most dreamers escape reality. Visionaries transform it. When Ford imagined an automobile for the masses, he wasn't fantasizing, he was engineering the future. When Oprah saw herself as a voice for millions, that 0 to 030, hook, the decision moment. Low ambient hum, one slow heartbeat, a faint inhale. Narrator, calm, deep. Most people wish. They wish for success. They wish for freedom. They wish for meaning. Music swells faintly, A slow pulse begins, but wishes don't move mountains. Decisions do. Pause. One beat of silence. The world is not built by those who wish. It is built by those who decide. Tempo increases, a cinematic boom as tone shifts from quiet to powerful. 0:30 to 1:30. The divide between the many and the few. By those who wake one morning and whisper to their own reflection, enough. Enough waiting, enough hoping, enough shrinking from who they could be. Every revolution that reshaped humanity began with that word, enough. Edison said it, Ford said it, Carnegie said it, Disney said it. They decided that their vision was worth ridicule, rejection, and ruin, if that's what it took to see it through. They didn't wait for permission. They created permission, and the moment they did, the universe made way. Music, low strings and slow percussion build like distant thunder. 1:30 to 2:30. The truth about fear and action. Most people, though, never decide. They hesitate. They wait for someday. They hide behind comfort and call it caution. They wait for the perfect moment and die waiting. Music dips, heartbeat returns. The few who decide move anyway, even in darkness, even in doubt, even when they can't see the end, because they understand. You don't wait for clarity to act. You act, and clarity arrives. Percussive piano accent. You will never feel ready. You will never have perfect timing. But the moment you step forward, life begins to respond. That step is the beginning of power. 2:30 to 3:30. The mind, prison or power. Soft transition, introspective melody. Your mind is the birthplace of every triumph and every tragedy. Within it lives your greatest prison and your ultimate liberation. The undisciplined mind drifts like a leaf in the wind. The focused mind cuts through storms like a blade. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But most only conceive. They imagine, they dream, but they never believe. And a dream without belief is just a mirage. Pause. Belief is conviction in the unseen. The trust that your vision is real before the world sees it. Edison believed in the light before he saw it. The Wright brothers believed in flight before they felt it. Disney believed in magic before the world imagined it. Belief transforms the invisible into the inevitable. 3:30 to 4:30, vision and courage. Strings swell, brighter tone. Vision is not fantasy. Vision is courage with clarity. It's seeing what others can't, and walking toward it anyway. Most people dream to escape reality. Visionaries dream to transform it. When Ford envisioned a car for the common man, people laughed. But his vision outlasted Th.